What if one man's decision could have ended the world in minutes? What if a single moment of doubt stood between peace and nuclear war? In the tense silence of the Cold War, such a moment truly happened. This is not fiction, not a movie, but a real historical incident. A story buried deep inside classified military archives for years. A story about fear, pressure, and unimaginable responsibility. The world was divided, and trust was almost non-existent. Two superpowers stood ready, armed with nuclear weapons. One false move could have destroyed entire civilizations. And on one night, alarms began to scream inside a secret bunker. Missiles were reportedly on their way. Retaliation protocols were ready to be launched. The countdown to catastrophe had almost begun, but one man hesitated, and that hesitation changed everything. This is the story of the man who almost started World War III. To understand this story, we must step back into the Cold War era. The United States and the Soviet Union were bitter rivals. Both nations feared surprise nuclear attacks from each other. Advanced systems were built to detect incoming missiles instantly. These systems were designed for speed, not human reflection. Leaders believed that reacting quickly meant survival, but speed also increased the risk of catastrophic mistakes. Nuclear doctrines depended heavily on automated warnings. Trust in machines became dangerously high. Human judgment was often reduced to seconds. The world lived under a constant shadow of fear. Every radar signal could mean the end of humanity. Military officers carried unimaginable responsibility daily. One wrong decision could trigger irreversible consequences, and this fragile system would soon be tested. The man at the center of this story was a Soviet officer. His name was Stanislav Petrov. He was not a politician or a famous general. He was a trained military analyst working in early warning systems. His job was simple but terrifying in responsibility. He monitored satellite systems that detected missile launches. If an attack was detected, he had to report it immediately. That report could trigger a nuclear counterstrike. There was no room for hesitation officially. Protocols demanded strict obedience to system alerts. But Petrov was known for thinking critically. He trusted logic more than blind procedure. That mindset would soon define history. Because one night everything went wrong, and the world unknowingly depended on him. It was the night of September 26, 1983. Petrov was on duty inside a secret Soviet command center. The atmosphere was tense but routine at first. Screens glowed quietly in the darkened room. Officers monitored data in disciplined silence. Then suddenly, alarms shattered the calm. A warning flashed across the system. A missile launch from the United States was detected. The system classified it as a confirmed attack. Protocol required immediate escalation. Everyone in the room froze. More alarms followed seconds later. The system now reported multiple incoming missiles. This was exactly what they had trained for. The end seemed to be unfolding in real time. The computer system insisted that several missiles were inbound. It labeled the threat as highly reliable. Visual displays showed trajectories heading towards Soviet territory. The system had been tested and trusted. Its purpose was to eliminate human delay. According to protocol, Petrov had to report immediately. A delay could mean losing the chance to respond. Retaliation would need to happen within minutes. The pressure was overwhelming and immediate. Other officers looked to him for action. The chain of command depended on his call. Everything pointed toward an incoming nuclear strike, but something didn't feel right to Petrov. A doubt formed in his mind, and that doubt would change history. Petrov began to question the system's logic. He thought about how a real attack would look. Would the United States launch only a few missiles? A full-scale nuclear war would likely involve hundreds. The limited number seemed suspicious to him. He also considered the reliability of new satellite systems. These systems were still relatively untested. False alarms were not impossible, but protocol did not allow for personal judgment. Still, Petrov trusted his instincts. He chose not to report it as a confirmed attack. Instead, he classified it as a system malfunction. This decision went against strict military procedure. He was risking his career and possibly his life, but he believed the system might be wrong. After his decision, the most intense waiting began. If he was wrong, the consequences would be devastating. Missiles would strike without warning. Millions could die within minutes. The silence in the room became unbearable. Every second felt like an hour. Officers watched the screens expecting impact confirmation, but no explosions were reported. No radar confirmed incoming warheads. The feared attack never materialized. The system had made a critical error. The alarm slowly faded into silence. Relief spread quietly through the room, but the gravity of what almost happened remained. The world had come terrifyingly close to disaster. Later analysis revealed the cause of the false alarm. The satellite system misinterpreted sunlight reflections. Sunlight reflecting off clouds looked like missile launches. The system's algorithms failed to distinguish the difference. This technical flaw triggered the false warning. It was a rare but dangerous error. Without human judgment, it could have been fatal. The system had done exactly what it was designed to do, but it lacked context and understanding. Petrov's skepticism prevented a tragic outcome. His decision proved that machines are not infallible. Human reasoning remained essential. This incident exposed a major vulnerability, one that could have ended the world, and no one outside knew about it at the time. Despite his heroic decision, Petrov was not celebrated. In fact, his actions were kept secret. The Soviet Union avoided public discussion of the incident. Admitting the flaw would expose system weaknesses. Petrov was quietly questioned by his superiors. He was criticized for not following protocol strictly. Some saw his hesitation as risky. Others recognized his critical thinking, but officially there was no reward. He eventually left the military service. His story remained hidden for years. The world moved on, unaware of what had happened, but history had been quietly altered. All because of one man's decision. A decision made under extreme pressure. If Petrov had followed protocol blindly, events could have escalated. The Soviet leadership might have ordered retaliation. The United States would have responded immediately. A full-scale nuclear war could have begun. Billions of lives would have been at risk. Cities would have been destroyed within hours. The environment would suffer irreversible damage. Human civilization might not have survived. All triggered by a technical error. This incident highlights the fragility of global security systems. It shows how close humanity came to disaster, and how much depended on a single decision. The Cold War was full of such dangerous moments, but this one stands out clearly, because it was stopped just in time. This story raises an important question about technology. Can machines be trusted with life and death decisions? Automated systems are fast, but not always accurate. They lack human intuition and context. Petrov's decision proved the value of human judgment. He questioned what others would have accepted. He chose to think rather than react instantly. This balance between human and machine is critical, especially in high-stakes environments. Modern systems are even more advanced today, but risks still exist. Errors can still happen, and decisions are still made under pressure. The lesson remains relevant even now. Human thinking must never be removed completely. Imagine the psychological pressure Petrov faced that night. He had seconds to decide the fate of millions. No time for consultation or second opinions. No room for hesitation officially. Yet he chose to pause and think. That pause required immense courage. Fear, doubt, and responsibility all collided at once. Most people might have followed orders blindly, but Petrov resisted that instinct. He trusted logic over fear. That decision defines true bravery. Not action but restraint. Not reaction but reflection. It shows the power of calm thinking under pressure, a rare and valuable human trait. Today, the world still faces global tensions. Nuclear weapons still exist. Advanced systems still monitor potential threats. Technology has improved, but risks remain. This story reminds us of past mistakes. It highlights the importance of caution. Blind trust in systems can be dangerous. Human oversight is essential. Decision makers must be trained to think critically. History offers lessons if we choose to learn. Petrov's story is not just about the past. It is a warning for the future, a reminder of how fragile peace can be, and how easily it can be lost. All it takes is one wrong decision. Years later, Petrov's story finally became public. He was recognized internationally for his actions. Awards were given for his role in preventing disaster. He became known as the man who saved the world, but he remained humble about it. He often said he was just doing his job. His story inspired documentaries and discussions. People around the world learned his name. His legacy became a symbol of human judgment, a reminder that individuals can make a difference, even in the largest global systems. His decision continues to inspire today, not through power but through wisdom, not through action but through restraint. A quiet hero in a loud and dangerous world. This story is more than history, it is a warning, a reminder of how close humanity came to destruction, and how one man's doubt saved billions of lives. In a world driven by speed and automation, we must ask ourselves an important question. Are we becoming too dependent on machines? Do we still value human judgment enough? What would you have done in his position? Would you trust the system or your instincts? Could you carry that level of responsibility? The future may present similar moments again, and the outcome will depend on human decisions. So think carefully about this story, because the next critical decision could come any time, and it might once again decide the fate of the world.